My wife stole $200,000, took out 3 secret loans in my name, left me for another man. So I tracked her down, and then... Hi, I'm Marcus, a 35-year-old guy who thought he had life figured out. I worked hard, planned for the future, and believed in love. Now, I have just one question for you. How do you move on when the person you trusted most steals everything and vanishes into thin air? Because that's exactly what happened to me. It all started with a surgery I had been preparing for over 2 years, a procedure that was supposed to change my life. I have a chronic condition that makes everyday life painful, and this surgery wasn't optional. It was my way out of this nightmare. My insurance wouldn't cover it, so I spent the last 2 years saving every penny I could. No vacations, no nights out, no luxuries. Just work, save, repeat. Through it all, my wife, Sabrina, 33, had been my rock, or so I thought. She reassured me whenever I got discouraged, telling me, "We're in this together. Soon, you'll be able to live again." She helped me budget, tracked the joint account where we kept the surgery fund, and even drove me to pre-op appointments. But everything unraveled the morning I woke up in the hospital. I woke up groggy, expecting to be in recovery, but something was wrong. The 4 was still in my arm, but I wasn't post-op. I was just waiting. A nurse walked in, surprised to see me awake. "Oh, you're still here," she said, checking my chart. "What do you mean?" I croaked. She looked at me sympathetically. "Your surgery was canceled yesterday." My stomach dropped. Canceled? By who? I immediately reached for my phone. Dozens of missed calls from the hospital's billing department. Confused, I opened my email and saw a cancellation confirmation, sent the day before. I didn't cancel anything. Frantically, I called Sabrina. No answer. I texted her. Nothing. My hands started to shake as I called again. Straight to voicemail. Something was very, very wrong. Still half drugged from the pre-op meds, I forced myself out of bed and called the hospital's billing office. Maybe there was a mistake? Maybe it was some kind of insurance issue? But then the woman on the phone said something that made my blood run cold. "Sir, the payment was reversed yesterday. Your account no longer has sufficient funds. The bank transfer I had set up weeks ago, double and triple checked, was reversed the day before the surgery. Someone had taken back every single cent." My heart pounded as I logged into my bank account. Balance, $0. Then I saw the transaction history. A single withdrawal, $98, 500, 2 days ago. That was everything. I felt like I was going to be sick. The first person I called was my wife. No answer. I texted, "Sabrina, what's going on? The surgery was canceled. The money is gone. Where are you?" No response. At this point, I started to panic. Maybe she had been in an accident. Maybe she had been kidnapped. I called her parents. Her mom picked up. "Marcus? Is everything okay? Have you seen Sabrina?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "No, not since last weekend." "Why? What's wrong?" That's when the first real wave of dread hit me. Sabrina wasn't missing. Sabrina had left. I called an Uber and went straight home. When I got there, my fears were confirmed. Her car was gone. Inside, I found the closet half empty. Some of her clothes were missing. Her suitcase was gone. Her toiletries were gone. She had packed and left. I checked the bathroom, the dresser, the nightstand, looking for a note, a clue, anything. Nothing. I sat down on the couch, staring at the empty space where her things used to be. My hands were still shaking when I pulled up our shared email account. Maybe there was a message from her? Some kind of explanation? That's when I saw it. An email from 2 days ago. First-class flight to Miami. Luxury suite at a 5-star oceanfront hotel. 2 guests, Sabrina and Jordan. I froze. Who the hell was Jordan? At first, my brain refused to make sense of it. Maybe it was a business trip? Maybe it was a mistake? But then I did something I will regret for the rest of my life. I checked her Instagram. The first thing I saw was a photo, posted just hours ago. Sabrina, lounging by a rooftop pool, cocktail in hand, wearing a swimsuit I'd never seen before. Her new sunglasses reflected the ocean view. The caption? "Finally free. Much needed escape." The photo wasn't a selfie. Someone had taken it. And when I clicked the tagged name, my world fell apart. Jordan's profile picture? A picture of him and Sabrina, together, laughing, happy, while I was sitting in a hospital bed, alone, abandoned, broke, and unable to get the surgery that I had been working 2 years for. That's when it finally hit me. She stole everything and ran off with him. I was shaking so badly that I could barely open my banking app, but when I did, I saw more than just the missing $98,500. Sabrina had maxed out my credit card, too. A $6,400 charge at the same luxury hotel in Miami. A $2,800 shopping spree at a high-end boutique. A $1,500 dinner reservation for two at an exclusive restaurant. My last available credit limit? Gone. I felt like I was going to pass out. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the screen, waiting for it all to make sense. Waiting for a reason. Waiting for an explanation. Waiting for anything that didn't make me feel like a complete idiot. But no reason came. No explanation. No text. No call. No apology. Nothing. The woman who had held my hand in the doctor's office, who had told me we were a team, who had promised to be there for me after my surgery, had stolen everything I had worked for and left me to rot. And I had no idea what to do next. After I discovered Sabrina had stolen my money and disappeared to Miami with another man, something inside me snapped. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was furious. This wasn't just betrayal, it was war. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, smiling by a pool, drinking cocktails with the money meant to save my life. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to sit around and let her get away with this. I was going to find her. I started with the hotel reservation from the email I found. A 5-star beachfront resort in Miami. I called the front desk, pretending to be her brother. Hey, I'm trying to surprise my sister, Sabrina. She's staying with you. Can you tell me if she's checked in? The receptionist hesitated. I'm sorry, sir, we can't disclose guest information. I gritted my teeth. Of course not. Fine. I'd do this the hard way. I booked a same-day flight. I didn't even think. I just acted. By the time I landed, it was midnight. I took a cab straight to the hotel, my heart pounding like a war drum. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know what I would do when I saw her. All I knew was she wasn't getting away with this. I arrived at the hotel entrance and spotted a sleek black sports car parked out front. I recognized the man in the driver's seat immediately. Jordan, Sabrina's new boyfriend. My hands clenched into fists. I walked straight up to the car, my footsteps deliberate, heavy. Jordan noticed me too late. By the time he rolled down the window, I had yanked the door open. Where is she? I growled. Jordan looked confused. Who the hell? Before he could finish, I grabbed his shirt collar and slammed him against the seat. Where is Sabrina? I repeated, my voice ice cold. He shoved me back, but I didn't move. Get your hands off me, man. What the hell is your problem? I leaned in. My problem? You're sitting in a car paid for with my money. You're staying in a hotel paid for with my money. You're drinking cocktails by the pool while I was supposed to be in surgery because she stole every cent I had. His face paled. What? That's when I knew. Sabrina had lied to him, too. He got out of the car and stared at me, realization hitting him like a freight train. She told me she was single, that she was divorced. She said she had an inheritance. I laughed bitterly. Yeah? That inheritance was my damn surgery fund. His face twisted with rage. He turned toward the hotel entrance, muttering, That lying. I grabbed his arm. No. Jordan looked at me, confused. You're not going in there to yell at her, I said. You're going in there to get her phone. His eyes widened. You think she scammed other people? I nodded. I don't think I know. For a moment, he hesitated. Then, his jaw tightened. Let's do it. We made our way into the hotel. Jordan used his key card to access the elevator, and my pulse roared in my ears as we rode up. When the doors opened, I saw her. Sabrina. She was standing in the hallway, wearing a silk robe, scrolling through her phone without a care in the world. Until she saw me. Her entire body froze. Marcus. I took a step forward, my voice calm, deadly. You stole my money. Her eyes darted to Jordan, who stood beside me, arms crossed. I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. I laughed. A cold, humorless laugh. That's funny. Because your little vacation here. I gestured around us. Paid for with my stolen credit card. Jordan shoved past me, grabbing her wrist. Let me see your phone. She yanked away. Get off me. Sabrina, I said, my voice like a razor's edge. We know about the other men. Her face drained of color. The hotel bookings. The credit cards. The fake inheritance. I took another step closer. It's over. She tried to run, but Jordan was faster. He grabbed her purse and dumped it on the floor. Her phone clattered onto the tile. I picked it up before she could grab it. One look at the messages, and I saw everything. Bank transfers to unknown accounts. Texts to another man, promising she would be with him soon. A plan to flee to Europe, using more stolen money. I turned the screen to her. Explain this. She opened her mouth, then closed it. She had nothing. She had been caught. And for the first time, she realized. She wasn't getting away this time. Jordan left her that night. I walked out with her phone, her financial records, and every single piece of evidence I needed to bury her. The next day, I filed for divorce, sued her for fraud, and froze every stolen account. Within weeks, her entire life collapsed. And the best part? She did it to herself. I sat in my silent, half-empty house, staring at my phone, waiting for reality to change. Maybe she would text. Maybe she would say it was all a misunderstanding. Maybe there was a logical reason for this, something that would make it all not what it looked like. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Sabrina had planned this, and I was about to find out just how deep her betrayal went. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, the woman I had trusted, the woman I had built a life with, smiling by a pool in Miami with another man. By morning, I knew I had to stop sitting in shock and start figuring out how bad the damage was. The first thing I did was check our shared bank account again. The money was gone. But what I hadn't noticed the night before was how she had taken it. She didn't just withdraw everything all at once. She had been siphoning money for months. $3,500 here, labeled as household expenses. $2,100 there, listed as a medical bill. $5,000 transferred to an account I didn't recognize. And then, the biggest hit, a full $98,500 withdrawal 2 days before my surgery. I felt sick. She had been stealing from me for months, and I never even noticed. I checked my credit score. My stomach twisted into knots when I saw that it had dropped over 100 points. How? Then I saw it, a second credit card I had never opened. Sabrina had taken out a credit card in my name and maxed it out. I clicked on the details. $67,000. That's how much she had spent, behind my back, using my name, my credit, my financial future. And when I scrolled through the transactions, my hands started shaking. Luxury designer handbags, $8,000. Spa retreats, $3,200. Expensive dinners at 5-star restaurants, $1,500 each. Weekend getaways I never knew about, $6,400. She had been living an entirely different life behind my back. And then I found something worse. I noticed a string of hotel reservations dating back nearly a year. One of them, booked 3 months ago, was in the same city Jordan lived in. That's when it hit me. She hadn't just left me for Jordan. She had been cheating on me for months. I stared at my phone, debating whether to call him. Jordan. I had never met him. Never even heard his name before I saw that damn flight confirmation. But now, I needed to know who he was. I searched his name on LinkedIn. A personal trainer in Miami. His Instagram was full of workout videos, flashy cars, expensive vacations. He wasn't just some guy. He was a walking stereotype. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold. One of his posts, from months ago, had a familiar hand resting on his shoulder. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable. But I knew that bracelet. I had bought it for Sabrina for her birthday last year. I clicked through his pictures. And there she was, hidden in the background of his life. My wife. I was still sitting there, trying to figure out how to breathe again, when my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to. I picked up. Hello. A man's voice. Hesitant. Hey, is this Marcus? Who's this? I snapped, already on edge. A pause. Then, quietly, my name's Jordan. I nearly dropped the phone. Jordan. The man my wife ran off with. The man she stole my money for. Why the hell are you calling me? I growled. He sighed. Look, man. I had no idea she was married. I didn't believe him. Not at first. But then he started talking. And the things he told me made me realize. Sabrina hadn't just lied to me. She had lied to him, too. The other side of the story. According to Jordan, Sabrina had reached out to him nearly a year ago on Instagram. She had liked one of his photos, and that's how it started. She told him she was single, recently divorced, that I was an emotionally abusive, controlling ex-husband. She said she had been trapped in our marriage for years, but now she was finally free to be herself. She told him she had money, a huge inheritance from her grandmother, enough for them to travel the world together. And Jordan, being the idiot that he was, believed her. But he said something changed a few weeks ago. She insisted on paying for everything. She pressured him into this Miami vacation, saying it was her treat. And then, the final red flag, when she told him she was moving to Miami permanently and wanted to buy a house with her inheritance. That's when Jordan got suspicious. Because there was no inheritance, Jordan confronted her a few days before they left for Miami. He asked her about her divorce. She changed the subject. He asked her about her family. She got defensive. He asked to meet some of her friends. She refused. He told me he was starting to feel like something was off. But by then, it was too late. She had already booked the flights. And when they landed in Miami, when she pulled out a stolen credit card to check into their luxury hotel, he knew something was seriously wrong. Jordan, sounding pissed, said he checked her phone while she was in the shower. And that's when he found everything. Text messages between her and me, messages where I told her how excited I was for my surgery. Bank transfer emails, proof that she had stolen the money. Emails from the hospital confirming the surgery cancellation. That's when he realized what she had done. That's when he saw that she hadn't just left me. She had destroyed me. And now, standing in a hotel room in Miami, holding a phone full of evidence, he confronted her. And do you know what she said? She laughed. She laughed. And then she told him, "You don't get anywhere in life by playing it safe." Jordan left her that night. But before he did one last thing. He sent me every single piece of evidence he found. Bank statements, text messages, screenshots. And then he said, "I don't know what you're going to do, man. But whatever it is, make sure she pays." And I knew right then and there. I was going to destroy her. I sat in the dark, my phone screen glowing in my hands, filled with every disgusting lie Sabrina had told. The texts, the bank statements, the stolen money, the fake inheritance, the surgery I lost because of her. Jordan had handed me everything. Proof that my wife wasn't just a cheater or a liar, but a full-blown con artist. And yet, the worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was that she didn't care. She laughed when she got caught. She stole everything I had, left me in medical limbo, and when confronted, she acted like it was nothing. I should have been furious. I should have been breaking things, screaming, losing my mind. But instead, I just felt empty. The next morning, reality set in. I still had no idea where Sabrina was, but I knew what I had to do next, figure out the full extent of the damage. I called my bank first. They confirmed what I already knew. Our joint account was empty. Then, I pulled my credit report. And that's when I realized how much deeper this betrayal went. Sabrina hadn't just drained our savings. She had taken out loans in my name. A $15,000 personal loan, opened a year ago. A $5,000 cash advance from a credit card I didn't know existed. And the worst, a secret second credit card with a $30,000 limit, maxed out. Total debt? Over $50,000. And I had no idea because she had all the statements sent to her email. She had been planning this for a long time. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment getaway. This was fraud, and I wasn't about to let her get away with it. At this point, I knew Sabrina wasn't coming back. She had disappeared, taken everything, and had no reason to return. But I still needed more proof. So, I started looking deeper. She had left her laptop at home, probably assuming I wouldn't think to check it. She was wrong. The first thing I did was check her emails. I expected to find conversations with Jordan, maybe more messages lying about me, telling him I was some horrible, controlling ex. But what I found was so much worse. Hotel bookings dating back 9 months. Luxury purchases made in different cities. Emails from multiple men, different names, different conversations, all the same pattern. Sabrina wasn't just cheating on me with Jordan. She was cheating on him, too. And not just him. There were others. One guy in New York, another in Los Angeles, another in Dallas. She had been living a double life for almost a year. Each man thought he was the only one. And each time, she used my money to fund it. A few nights later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. I picked up. "Hello." A man's voice. Angry. "You don't know me, but I think we have a mutual problem." "Who is this?" I asked. "Name's Adam. I just found out my girlfriend is actually your wife." My entire body went cold. Another one. Adam was one of the other guys. And when I told him who I was, there was silence. Then, that bitch. She told me she was single. We were planning a trip to Cabo next month. He had no idea she was married. No idea she was seeing multiple men. And when he checked his credit cards, he found something even worse. She had convinced him to co-sign a lease for an apartment in his name. She had planned to move in with him. And then, the kicker, she had asked him to take out a loan, $10,000, because she was starting a business. The same business she had already scammed Jordan with. She was playing all of us, and we weren't the only ones. At this point, Sabrina had fully disappeared. Her car? Gone. Her phone? Turned off. Her social media? Completely deleted. But I still had one way to find her. A private investigator. It felt extreme, but at this point, I needed to serve her divorce papers, and she had stolen nearly $200,000 from me. If I didn't track her down, she would keep destroying lives. It only took 2 weeks for the investigator to find her. She wasn't in Miami anymore. She was in New Orleans, living in an Airbnb under a fake name. And guess what? She wasn't alone. She had already moved on to another guy. The moment we found her, I had her served with divorce papers. She didn't even look surprised. Her response? Do whatever you want. I don't care. She didn't show up for the first court hearing. Didn't respond to my lawyer. She was still trying to run. But this time, I wasn't letting her escape. With my lawyer's help, I filed a lawsuit for fraud to recover my stolen money, a restraining order to keep her from trying to manipulate me again, a credit dispute to remove the debts she had taken out in my name. And then, I exposed everything. I was done protecting her secrets. So, I told the truth. I posted screenshots of her texts, bank statements, and messages from all the men she scammed. I sent the evidence to her family. I told our mutual friends. I even sent it to her last employer, just in case she tried to do this to someone else. And the fallout was instant. Her friends abandoned her. Her family cut ties. The guy in New Orleans kicked her out. Within a week, Sabrina went from living in a luxury hotel to sleeping in her car. And for the first time in months, I felt like I was getting my life back. A month later, she tried one last trick. She emailed me. Marcus, I made a mistake. I was lost. Let's talk. No apology. No regret. No remorse. Just a pathetic attempt to crawl back. I didn't even respond. I blocked her email. And that was the last time I ever heard from her. The divorce was finalized. The fraud case was moving forward. And slowly, I was rebuilding my life. She had taken everything from me. But in the end, she lost. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be hiring a private investigator to track down my wife, suing her for fraud, and exposing her to the world, I would have laughed in your face. But here I was. Sabrina had vanished into thin air after stealing nearly $200,000 from me. My surgery fund? Gone. My credit? Destroyed. My future? Left in shambles. I had spent weeks picking up the pieces, uncovering the horrifying reality that she hadn't just scammed me. She had played multiple men at the same time. But what really kept me going, what fueled me when I felt like I couldn't take another step, was knowing she thought she got away with it. She hadn't. I wasn't done with her yet. After my investigator found her hiding out in New Orleans, I had her served with divorce papers. She barely reacted. Do whatever you want. I don't care, she said before slamming the door in the server's face. That alone told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't scared. She wasn't sorry. She didn't think she'd face real consequences. I was about to change that. With my lawyer, I filed a full lawsuit against her for fraud and identity theft. If she thought she could just disappear and move on with her life without paying for what she did, she was dead wrong. The web of deception collapses. While waiting for the legal process to play out, I decided to do one last deep dive into her life. I had already discovered she had opened multiple credit cards in my name, taken out fraudulent loans, been cheating on me with multiple men, stolen nearly $200,000 and spent it on luxury vacations and designer items. But something still didn't sit right. I knew Sabrina was a liar. I knew she was a scammer, but I needed to know how deep this went. So, I reached out to her former friends, old coworkers, and even some distant family members. And the things they told me? I wasn't the first person she did this to. One of her old friends, Jessica, told me Sabrina had a history of screwing people over. In college, she convinced a roommate to let her use her credit card for emergencies and never paid her back. She stole money from an ex-boyfriend's business and then dumped him before he found out. She lied about having a job for months while secretly using someone else's credit card to fund her lifestyle. Her entire life was one long con, and I had been her biggest victim. Until now. The moment my lawsuit against her went public, everything imploded for Sabrina. First, the credit card companies flagged the fraud. Then, her bank accounts were frozen due to my claims of unauthorized transactions. Then, the apartment lease she conned another man into signing was voided, leaving her homeless. And the final blow? Her latest boyfriend in New Orleans found out everything and kicked her out. She had nowhere to run. And for the first time, she was the one suffering the consequences. Sabrina's desperate attempt at manipulation. A week later, she did the one thing I never expected. She reached out. Not to apologize. Not to admit she was wrong. Not to take responsibility. She tried to flip the script. I got an email from an unknown address. Subject, we need to talk. The message read, Marcus, I know you're angry, but I think we should talk. I've been going through a lot, and you don't understand the full story. I was in a dark place, and I made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt you. You always worked so much. I felt alone. I felt trapped. I just needed a way out. You wouldn't have understood. Please, can we just talk? I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not even hate. Just nothing. Because I knew what this was. She wasn't reaching out because she was sorry. She was reaching out because she had no money, no home, and no one left to manipulate. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded it to my lawyer. Let her feel what it's like to be abandoned. Let her know I was done playing her game. A part of me still wanted justice. But another part of me wanted something else. I wanted the world to know what she had done. So, I did the one thing she never expected. I exposed everything. I posted the entire story online. I included screenshots of her fraudulent transactions, bank statements showing every dollar she stole, proof of her cheating, her lies, and her manipulation. And then, I sent the same information to her family, her former employers, and anyone else who needed to know who she really was. And just like that, her reputation was destroyed. No more rich boyfriends. No more luxury hotels. No more easy escapes. For the first time, Sabrina had to live with the consequences of her own actions. In the months that followed, I slowly started putting my life back together. My credit was repaired. My fraud claims were approved, helping me recover some of the stolen money. My divorce was finalized. And, thanks to a loan from my family, I was finally able to reschedule my surgery. It wasn't easy. There were nights I still lay awake, replaying everything, wondering how I had been so blind. But then I remembered, this wasn't my fault. I had loved someone who was never real. Sabrina had never been my partner. She had been a professional liar. And now, she had nothing left. Months later, after everything had settled, I got one final message from her. A text from a new number. I miss you. I made a mistake. Let's talk. I laughed, deleted it, and never looked back. She took everything from me. My money, my security, my future. But in the end, I won. Because for the first time in a long time, I was free. You would think that after losing everything, her money, her home, her reputation, Sabrina would finally stop. That maybe, just maybe, she would take responsibility for what she did. But no, people like her don't learn. They don't change. They just get more desperate. And I was about to witness her downfall in real time. A month after I ignored her pathetic attempt to talk, she tried again. This time, she showed up. It was a Saturday. I had finally started feeling like myself again, working out, going out with friends, making plans for my future. I was moving on. Then, I heard a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, but when I looked through the peephole, my stomach twisted. Sabrina. She looked like a completely different person. Gone was the confident, put-together woman I once knew. She was thin, disheveled, and wearing clothes that looked like they hadn't been washed in weeks. For a second, I just stood there, staring. She knocked again, weaker this time. Marcus, please. I just need to talk. I opened the door, but only as far as the chain lock would allow. What do you want, Sabrina? Her voice cracked. I have nowhere else to go. I almost laughed. Nowhere else to go? She was the one who burned every bridge she ever had. She was the one who stole, lied, and betrayed everyone around her. And now, when the world had finally given up on her, she came crawling back to me? No, absolutely not. She tried to cry. She tried to tell me she had made a mistake, that she was lost and confused. That Jordan, the guy she had left me for, had abandoned her the second he found out about all her lies. That the other men she had scammed had cut her off completely. That she had nowhere to go, no money, no friends. And you know what? That part was true. But then she tried to turn it around on me. I was so hurt that you never paid attention to me, Marcus. I felt like I didn't matter. I thought you didn't love me anymore. I blinked. So your solution was to steal from me and run off with another man? She flinched, but quickly recovered. I wasn't thinking straight. I was scared. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even now, even with nothing left, she still wouldn't take responsibility. I stared at her for a long moment. Then I said the words that finally broke her. You don't deserve my forgiveness. Her face crumpled. Marcus, please. I shut the door in her face. And for the first time in months, I felt peace. I thought that was the end of it. I thought she would finally give up and disappear forever. I was wrong. A few days later, I got a call from my bank. Apparently, someone had tried to access my personal account. They failed the security questions. They failed the backup verification. And when the bank employee read the name of the person who had tried, it was Sabrina. I was beyond done. I contacted my lawyer and filed for a restraining order immediately. She had already stolen enough from me. I wasn't about to give her another chance. The funny thing about people like Sabrina, they never think they'll get caught. But when they finally do, they go down in flames. I had already exposed everything she did to my friends, family, and our entire social circle. But I hadn't expected her own family to turn on her, too. Apparently, after I sent them the proof of her fraud, her parents disowned her. Her mother told me, "We always feared she'd do something like this, but we never thought she'd take it this far." Then, she made a public post on Facebook distancing herself from Sabrina, her own mother. The comments under that post? Brutal. Everyone she had ever scammed, every person she had used, came forward to expose her. By the time it was over, Sabrina was a ghost. No home, no money, no friends, no future. And you know what? She deserved every bit of it. For the first time in a long time, I could finally breathe again. The fraud case against her was moving forward, and with my lawyer's help, I was able to recover some of my stolen money. More importantly, I had rescheduled my surgery. My family stepped in to help with the costs, and I was finally getting the medical care I had sacrificed everything for. The best part? Sabrina had no idea, because I had blocked her from every possible way of contacting me. She could rot in her own mess. I was done. Months later, I got one final message. A random number. A single text. I miss you. I made a mistake. Let's talk. I laughed, deleted it, and never looked back. She took everything from me. She left me for dead, thinking she would move on to a better life. But in the end, she lost everything. And me? I finally got my life back.